In our previous video, we discussed the first game of Worlds 2016 between TSM and RNG in order to demonstrate the insufficiency of champion analysis when trying to figure out which team has the advantage at any point in a League of Legends match. Both teams had strong team fighters, but according to the analysts, RNG held the late game advantage. The analysts said the reason for this advantage were the champions themselves, but more importantly, the advantage can be found in the items. Since the gold lead evened out at two separate points in the game, we will focus on the 31-minute mark, which is the point in the game the pivotal teamfight occurred. In the top lane, Kennen and Rumble often build similar items, because they both focus on teamfighting. Each player completed a Hextech Protobelt and Azania's Hourglass before the 31-minute mark, but the differences in their core build can be seen in their final item. Kennen built a Void Staff, and Rumble built a Liandry's Torment. Liandry's Torment costs 3,200 gold and gives you 80 ability power, 300 health, and 15 flat magic pen. This means Liandry's is worth 3,100 gold in raw stats, which is especially important because of the unreliable nature of most passives. Void Staff gives the same amount of AP, but costs 2,650 gold, and has no other raw stats. The raw stats of Liandry's are much more valuable than Void Staff, because Void Staff's passive needs the enemy team to have large amounts of magic resist to become efficient. In the TSM and RNG game, Kennen would need to hit several priority targets with his ult, which is very difficult when the carries still have their summoners. On the other hand, the raw stats on Liandry's reduces the significance of the passive to the point where Rumble's item will bring more value to the teamfight, even without the passive. From a theoretical standpoint, Liandry's is a superior item, in raw stats by 1,360 gold, and has a comparable passive, offering a similar ceiling in terms of maximum gold efficiency. Junglers generally have very similar build paths and efficiency, but this game is an exception due to Hecarim's first item choice. Hecarim is notorious for his weak early game, which is due in large part to the amount of gold players need to invest in a Trinity Force. Trinity Force costs 3,733 gold. For 800 more gold, Lee Sin was able to upgrade his jungle item and buy a Randuin's Omen. This gave TSM an 800 gold lead in the jungle. The mid lane matchup also has some item overlap, and at the 31-minute mark, both Orianna and Cassiopeia have a Rylai's Crystal Scepter. Orianna rounds out her core with a Morellonomicon and a Void Staff, while Cassiopeia buys Azania's Hourglass and Abyssal Scepter. Cassiopeia spent 100 more gold, giving RNG a 100 gold advantage in the mid lane. Since the passives have huge variables, but similar upside, the edge and total cost in raw stats is very small. The support matchup in this game is insignificant, as it is in most games, because they receive a small amount of gold and need to buy similar items to help support the team. So instead, we'll focus on the AD carries. Sivir and Jhin both normally build a Maw of Malmortius when the enemy team has a lot of AP. However, in this game, Sivir has only completed a Hex Drinker, while Jhin has a full Maw. Sivir has a Zeal to make up some of the gold differential, as well as an Essence Reaver and an Infinity Edge. These items are much more expensive than Jin's Youmuu's Ghostblade and Rapid Fire Cannon, which is indicative of Sivir's gold lead in the matchup. In a vacuum, Jhin can slightly outperform Sivir if he gets the maximum value out of his item passives, but this requires Jhin to activate Youmuu's Ghostblade and fall below 30% max health to trigger the passives on Maw of Malmortius. This is a dangerous and unreliable thing to do during teamfights. Furthermore, Sivir's kit synergizes unbelievably well with these items because Bouncing Blades can crit. The edge in total cost, raw stats, and similar ceiling with passives gives RNG the item advantage yet again, which makes it even more understandable that TSM was unable to convert their gold lead into a victory because of how they spent their gold. The different core builds, when combined for each team, show that RNG has a 600 gold advantage, before including passives and gold efficiency. The numbers are surprisingly similar, but it's important to remember the 1300 gold lead on Lee Sin in raw stats, and the large advantage Sivir has in reliable passives over Jhin. When we compare the core builds from each team, RNG has a 600 gold lead in total cost. However, if the item passives and gold efficiency are taken into consideration, RNG's gold lead balloons to 4,000 or 5,000 gold, even though they only spent 600 more gold. The logical question to ask is, should TSM depend on outplaying RNG to make up their gold deficit? Obviously no. You may be asking yourself, how can I avoid making similar mistakes? The only way is to learn as much as you can about item cost and gold efficiency as possible, which has traditionally meant spending hours looking at spreadsheets to calculate things on your own, playing a handful of games to test out items to learn how to use them properly, or depending on popular players to show you builds that they use in solo queue. Now there's an alternative. With League of Items, you will learn how to compare the value of items, and can condition yourself by making choices between item builds in a fraction of the time it would take you to collect the data and test it yourself. Each patch, our YouTube channel and the app will be updated to reflect the latest changes to items, so you will be able to identify the newest overpowered item before anyone else in solo queue. Thanks for watching, and please like, comment, and share.